So YouTube here with a post-fight aftermath result video for last night's WBO Light Heavyweight title fight between Joe Smith Jr. and Maxim Vlasov. First things first, hats off to both these men for putting on one hell of a performance. Their fight last night is up there for being one of the top candidates for the Fight of the Year award for 2021 so far. It's up there with the Chocolatito Estrada fight. It's up there with the Cheeseman Kid Shamrock fight. It was a exciting, intriguing, competitive, close, entertaining fight that these two warriors put on in the ring last night. That being said, much respect. Now let's get into the details of the fight. Joe Smith Jr. was able to capture the WBO Light Heavyweight title via majority decision. That being said, congratulations to the new champ. I like to call this guy the people's champ, by the way. He's a average, common, blue-collar, working-class guy, who achieved a level of success of being a world champion. Now, that's truly inspirational and motivational. And this is somebody that any and everybody can get behind. His background, his story, it's just that feel good kind of thing that we saw last night. Somebody of his stature, becoming world champion. But hats off to both these guys, man. I had this fight score 6-6 even. With that being said, I could understand if, you had it 7-5 for Maxim Vlasov, but two judges had this fight score 7-5 in the favor of Joe Smith Jr., causing a majority decision for Joe Smith Jr. Now, one judge had his score 115-112. Now, that had to mean for one round at least, he had to score that round a 10-8 round for Joe Smith. Now, I don't know which exact round it was. Could have been round 8 or 9, where it looked like Vlasov got knocked down, but it was called a no knockdown because he got hit in the back of his head while they were on the inside. But he really just turned his head in a way where he would get hit in the back of his head. So I don't know, but that infuriated Joe Smith's promoter and his corner, and I'm sure some people felt the same way. I honestly thought it was a knockdown, but it is what it is because I felt like with the onslaught Joe Smith was bringing to Vlasov that round, especially in the mid to late rounds. That's when Joe Smith was shining in the fight. Vlasov was already hurt and gassed out during that round. And, he bought himself some time with that call that the ref made. That being said, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between the two because I had it a draw. Maybe Smith wants to avenge his loss against Bivol, who's another champion at that weight class, by the way. Maybe a rematch with Bivol is what he's aiming for more than a rematch with Vlasov. Or maybe he wants to go at the lineal champion at that weight class, that being Beterbiev. Now, Vlasov, he shouldn't be ashamed of his performance at all. This man, got diagnosed with COVID, which caused a delay in the fight from the original date. This guy looked like he ain't missed a step at all. He came from the beginning of the fight blasting. This man was throwing 70 plus punches in the first round. Now that kind of statistics is unheard of at that kind of weight class. The heavier in weight you go in this sport, the lower the CompuBox stats get because the heavier the fighters are, the more power that they carry in their hands, and these guys gas out faster than the smaller guys. So it's kind of obvious why the CompuBox stats get lower in numbers when it's heavier fighters. But this guy was throwing in volumes, and in the beginning of the fight, Vlasov was winning without a question. He was able to force Joe Smith back to the corners and the ropes, have him fighting off his back foot, and Smith was having trouble catching Vlasov's rhythm, figuring out his style, his awkwardness, and he just couldn't find the target with his punches because the weird jerk and herk style that Vlasov has the weird jerking her defensive style. He has his hands all the way down on his thighs and he moves his upper body and head a lot. And the onslaught that he's bringing with the volume of punches that he's bringing, Smith wasn't used to that, and that was causing him trouble. And he's hitting Smith with punches from weird angles. That was causing all types of trouble for Joe Smith in the beginning rounds. And early in the fight, Smith suffered a cut above his left eye, and that was kind of impairing his vision. And throughout the whole fight, Vlasov did not let up from that left eye where the cut started in the beginning of the fight. And, at the end of the fight, you had Joe Smith, that same left eye, he had a swelling, a cut above his eyes from the earlier rounds in the fight. Then later on, he suffered a cut under that swelled left eye as well. So this guy, Vlasov, was really targeting that left eye of Joe Smith Jr. But like in the fourth round, that's when Joe Smith started to let his hands go more and started figuring out Vlasov's style and started to catch his rhythm. And he landed some significant blows that stopped Vlasov in his tracks. And I was saying the way Vlasov just started the fight, I don't know if he just didn't respect Joe Smith enough, because coming into this fight, he was saying, "Oh, Smith is a mediocre fighter. He's a predictable fighter. You can see his punches coming. He just got power." Maybe that's why he just started with bombs and started just letting loose from the beginning of the fight. But that kind of played an effect in a negative way for Vlasov, as he started to slow down and he didn't have a lot of gas in the tank towards the end of the fight. And the way he was punching so much in the beginning of the fight could have had affected his stamina towards the end of the fight, and as well as the powerful punches that Joe Smith was able to land throughout his onslaught in the mid to late rounds of the fight. And yeah, it was an entertaining fight nonetheless. Joe Smith Jr., man, I'm impressed with with him being able to pick his shots, and I like the way he distributes his energy throughout the whole fight. He doesn't, he distributes his energy throughout the whole 12 rounds. That way, he doesn't run out of stamina, and he has enough in the tank throughout the whole 12 rounds instead of just straight volume punching and answering back with bangers when his opponents is coming out throwing volume punches and banging at him. That being said, he showed a lot of patience, a lot of growth, a lot of maturity in this fight, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed by both their performances. I'd love to see the rematch, but yeah, Joe Smith, man, I think he's got a good future as a world champion at that division. Now, stylistically, it'll be an exciting fight. Both guys, got power in their hands. Both guys are, come forward fighters. I'm talking about him and Beterbiev, the lineal champion. Stylistically, it'll be an exciting fight and a unification title fight at the same weight class to see who's the man at that specific division is always healthy for the sport. With that being said, I'd love to see a title unification fight with him and Beterbiev. Beterbiev and Bivol, without a doubt, is the top two guys at that weight class of 175. The top four guys we saw, Vlasov and Smith Jr., who are in the top five of that weight class, slug it out last night. That being said, now it's time for Joe Smith to either, have that rematch with Bivol. I'm sure he'll like that. Or have that rematch with Vlasov, one of the fights of the year for 2021. Or, go for that, top guy at that light heavyweight weight class being Beterbiev for the lineal title and for the unification of the light heavyweight division. And I don't know about Sergey Kovalev. That guy got stripped of his title. He's way past his prime. He got busted for, pets. But, that fight wouldn't be bad as well. But there's options out there for Joe Smith Jr. And Vlasov, maybe he could fight Bivol, whoever, maybe Kovalev, who knows, man. that division isn't all too bad. With that being said, I look forward to see what's next for Joe Smith Jr. Let me know what y'all thought about the fight in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe button, share button if y'all want. Take care, stay healthy, be safe. Peace, y'all.